It is a Wednesday, therefore it means it's hump day, therefore it means sexologist / relationship expert Dr. Nikki Goldstein is live in studio.
The following content is of an adult nature and it may make some listeners blush, say, oh my God, or even cause offence. Feel free to turn the radio down in 3, 2, 1.
Let's talk about sex with Dr. Nikki Goldstein.
Enchanté,
Good
Dr. Nikki
evening.
Goldstein.
This is very French of you.
It was
French?
it was very French. It means pleased to meet you. I mean, I
'Cause
know
we've never
you,
met before,
so
have we?
Definitely not used in the right context there. Like most of my French sayings. If you've got a question for Dr. Nikki Goldstein, the house relationship expert and sexologist, give us a bell right now on 13 10 60. There's a whole world out there underneath the sheets, in between the bedrooms.
In between the bedrooms?
Yeah.
I think you're getting your lingo mixed up tonight.
In
You
between
mean
the sheets, between the
sheets,
bedrooms.
yeah.
That's the thing, though. Sometimes I do eavesdrop in between the bedrooms and just press my ear up against my wall.
Is that you with the cup, like spying on your neighbours? Like, what are they getting up to?
It's a myth. It's a myth. It just helps if you really suction your ear hole against it. The cup doesn't work. Don't work. Laura in Melbourne on 13 10 60. What's your question, Dr. Nikki Goldstein?
Hi, Dr. Nikki. I was just wondering if you can tell me why sometimes people get really emotional and cry after sex.
Well, when people cry after sex, when you have sex, you're releasing all these chemicals in your body, right? So you're getting oxytocin, you're bonding, and it can be quite an up and down emotionally because all this is flooding on. It doesn't make sense. And now often people cry not out of sadness. It's an overwhelming emotion. It's a release, and it's a positive cry. If someone was crying out of sadness, I'd be worried about maybe what they just did. Did they have regret for it? Did something go on that they're not happy about? But if it is an overwhelming burst, then that's really about your body's response to releasing various hormones that are going on. That is, after a climax or after you finish.
Guys would love that.
Have you ever cried after sex?
Not me. No.
But have you had someone that has?
Yeah. And
And a positive?
yeah, because you're like,
it's
wow, it must have mean I did a good job. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Yeah,
Like,
that's
I
good.
feel happy and
Yeah.
I'm going to cry happy. I'm going to burst with joy.
I don't cry after sex, but usually I cry after like a really long overseas trip when I'm back home. No, like just the day off.
That's
It's the
the
only time I
blues.
ever cry. It is. It's the travel blues because I'm on such a high.
But this
It's
is
like
different.
sex. It's like it's like travel, sex, running. I'm sure Shuey Louie would cry after a run from time to time.
You cry
The
after a run?
Such an
No.
endorphin high, and then afterwards you're so low. It's good. It's good gear. Keep crying, Laura.
Can't even imagine crying after sex.
Well,
Feel
maybe
like
that's
you're
your new mission on dating.
Absolutely
I
not.
reckon Shuey Louie with her form at the moment, she's finding it hard
Yeah.
to remember what sex is even like at this point.
That's a fair
Yeah.
point, Danny.
Do we have to give her more homework?
I'm
been a
I'm
while.
trying. I'm presenting as many men as I can on a platter, but she's just got other ideas.
Want a double date?
Yeah, what? Me and Shuey Louie and
No, we'll go along as the spies, right? We'll pretend date.
You
We'll
guys
go
are
on one
not
of her
coming to
dates,
spy on
and
me.
then we'll just kind of like push her along the sex bandwagon a little.
Unfortunately, you lost me at pretend date, Dr. Nikki Goldstein.
As much as I love you, I ain't dating you.
13 10 60 if you've got a relationship query, a sexual conundrum, any sort of questions like that for Dr. Nikki Goldstein. Give us a bell right now. 'Tis hump day, after all. A house sexologist in the house. Danny Lakey Late Show. Give us a bell. We'll get the calls on next.
If we don't get any, should I?
It is the Danny Lakey Late Show around the country on 13 10
The
60.
following content is of an adult nature and it may make some listeners blush, say, oh my God, or even cause offence. Feel free to turn the radio down in 3, 2, 1.
Let's talk about sex with Dr. Nikki Goldstein.
Yes, let's talk about sex. Let's talk
Baby.
about sex. Whether it's for making babies, whether it's for making love, whether it's just for exercising those dark, twisted fantasies you've seen on the
Maybe it's going
internet.
to sleep.
Sex. One to put you to sleep, yeah.
Yeah, no,
one to
because
wake you
after
up
an
in the
orgasm-
morning, one to put you to sleep at night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Makes sense. If you've got a question for Dr. Nikki Goldstein, the sexologist / relationship expert, give us a call right now. 13 10 60, David in Baroya. What's your question?
Hey Doc, hey Danny. Just an interesting question. After me and my partner have intercourse, I have epilepsy. I tend to seizure, very very short seizure, but yeah, interesting. I want to know.
Okay.
You
Are
can
you,
help
are
me.
you sure it's definitely a seizure? Because I have a little mini seizure after I've finished as well.
But
Wiggling
that's
around.
different, Danny.
Is it? No, I'm just double checking.
Yeah, but if we're talking about a medical condition like epilepsy, then, unfortunately, because I am a sexologist and not a medical doctor, then if there is any concern as to what the link might be, then I would encourage you to have this conversation with your doctor, because obviously it's not good to be having these seizures, and we've got to work out why, if there is a link, and if it is dangerous at all.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've done a little bit of doctoring with Dr. Brad Mackay when he used to come in on
yeah, call
Tuesdays.
him in, ask
So I'll take over here. Do
I
you
know a
have-
lot about epilepsy, do you?
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Well, no, hang
Doctor.
on. Yeah, well,
Wait,
hang on.
Dr.
Hang on,
Downey's
hang on.
got something to
Do
say.
you also have the seizures after you self-pleasure, or is it just with a partner?
Just with a partner.
Now we're getting now the doctors can prescribe his medicines. I think it's got to be more with the muscle spasms, and like you're probably clenching your butt cheeks a bit more and like moving around. It's got to be. Experiment next time with a little bit of self pleasure, but you do it in different positions. So if you usually always self pleasure and you're on your back, or if you're always in the shower or whatever, try and simulate some sex, but with your hand instead, and see which muscles you're working that bring on the seizures.
Dr.
You're welcome.
Danny.
You're welcome. Thank you, David. Caitlin in Melbourne. What's your question?
What is the average size of a penis?
Oh.
Nitty gritty stuff.
Let me get my ruler and then subtract 10 centimetres. Low!
Okay, I'm gonna tell you something interesting about this, because I remember last year looking it up, and you can actually find different sizes according to different
Really?
websites. So it's the same thing when you ask a girl like, "What's big for you?" and she'll pull out her hands and go, "Oh, like this is big or this is small." It's a matter of difference of opinion. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think we're a society that is obsessed with size. And as much as I want to say
Definitely.
it doesn't matter, the fact that we're talking about it on some level, it does. But when it comes to sexual pleasure, it shouldn't, because women have a clitoris.
Yeah, but we always say, you know how there's like,
Locker room.
"Ew, it's not the size of the boat, it's the motion in the ocean." But Shuey Louie agrees that we'd rather go on a cruise ship in rough seas than a little dinghy in a nice lake.
Amen.
But you can have really great sex if you have a smaller penis. I mean,
yeah,
you could
I
have
know.
That
really
is true.
crappy sex with a big penis.
Yeah, but if you've got the big penis, you can still mimic the smaller penises by just not going all the way in. Like you can just ask,
but then
what's your ideal penis size?
But you
Okay,
hear these guys
and then draw a
complain
little
about
mark
it.
on your penis and just go until there.
No one has ever done that.
Yeah,
Do you
I
want to
would.
put your penis half in during sex, Danny?
I would.
Is that pleasure for you?
Yeah, I'd
But you'd
happily
want
do
to
that.
go the whole way.
No, what? I don't have a G spot on my pubis. Nah, I'd easily do that. Thanks, Caitlin. Sandy in Newcastle. Final question for Dr. Nikki Goldstein. What is it?
Is it normal for a married couple to just stop having sex and be okay with it?
Yes. Danny's laughing at this
No,
one, and I'm going to have to explain it really
no.
quickly, right? People's sex drive changes throughout the span of a relationship, throughout the span of life, whether it's stress, childbirth, all sorts of things that happen. Now, if you're not really having sex anymore, you're not desiring it, as long as you are both on the same page and as long as you're exploring intimacy in other ways, are you being affectionate? Are you still giving each other a morning kiss, a bit of a cuddle? Then that's fine, because what's important with sex in a long-term relationship is we have that connection and that intimacy. So if you're not
I've
having
heard
it in
it's
the
bad
bedroom...
for your health to stop having sex.
No, I mean, there's all these different research and things out there that go, it reduces pain and it helps you get to sleep and it decreases your risk of a heart attack. So does eating healthy and not looking at your iPhone before bed. So I wouldn't necessarily see it as, is it bad for my health by not having sex? What you need to look at, is this bad for my relationship? And the short answer is no, as long as you are looking at intimacy in other ways and having that bonding with your partner.
And just check that he's not looking up any porn in the spare time. No,
he's
seriously.
not.
Seriously. Well, yeah, well, then that's good.
You need
Healthy.
to find out if the other
Very
person's
healthy.
on the same page.
Yeah, very healthy. Thanks for the question, Sandy. As long
very
as
much.
he's not going on Pornhub, and make sure you check the incognito windows from time to time. And it's all above
I
board
will,
here.
Danny. Thank you very much.
No worries. I mean, we're both here.
Dr.
That's
Danny
all.
tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Nikki Goldstein.